Stuttgart, somewhere around here. No, Frankfurt, Stuttgart. Echterdingen, yeah. There's a full German group of night fighters should be here. They were late being sent off, and they were sent off to Ida, probably to Otto. So while the bomber stream was coming round here, they'd been chasing the bomber stream and not catching up. Where if they'd stayed where they were, the main part of bomber stream would have come right over their heads, and the bombers might well have lost another 30 or 40 aircraft, because a lot of them are in pretty shaky condition by this stage. Some of them have been damaged on the way, some of them lie flat at Schweinfurt. So this represents the return route. There's a collision here. That's very hard luck. I've got another quotation here. I don't know what all these for. I've been sweating over these all the week. Yeah, don't want that. And I'm quoting from my own book. We are almost finished with bombers crashing over enemy territory, but one tragic incident remains to be described. Squadron leader Turkey Laird of DFC, an experienced Canadian pilot of 427 Lion Squadron, had been advised by his navigator that he was off course north of track. I can tell you where that is. That's here. The pilot was the only one to spot the other. Oh, wait a minute. Been advised by his navigator that he was off course north of track and had made a slight alteration of course. So instead of two aircraft flying along like that, one of them is turned slightly. The pilot was the only one to spot the other aircraft as he yelled out, "What the hell?" And there was a terrific bang as we collided. The other aircraft brushed the top of ours, and the only thing that saved me was that my back was to the shock and the rear of my turret was padded, so he was a tail gunner. I saw the Lancaster off to my left. He just seemed to go nose down. There was no fire. I believe most of the chaps in our aircraft must have been killed instantly. And Pilot Officer John Moffat was the only survivor. Now when you think how far they both were away from where they should have been, it's rotten luck. This is the bomber stream on the return flight, and there's one bomber gets shot down exactly on the outward flight, and he falls on the battlefield of Waterloo. There's another bomber comes down in the sea here. He's been badly damaged, and they decide that they can't reach England. And I think I've got, I know what I brought that up for, yes. The pilot who, let me identify him, because I think he's one of your chaps. Yes, I'm going back to this collision. The two bombers crashed in the southeast corner of Belgium, close to the borders of Belgium and Luxembourg. By a coincidence, the navigators of both aircraft from the same Canadian town of Saskatoon. The deaths of both men reveal personal tragedies. In the Halifax, Flying Officer Red Serda was reputed to be on the last operation of his tour, and in the other aircraft, Warrant Officer John Merritt in the Lancaster had been married to a Hampshire girl only 10 days previously. So that's individual sadness. The other individual sadness is this Halifax that's going down in the sea, has been badly damaged, it's not going to reach base, and they decide that they're going to have to ditch. Although it's quite close to the French coast, they're hoping that they can survive and they will be picked up by the SC rescue people. And the pilot sends all his 6 men back to sit behind the main spar. Those of you who've been in a Lancaster will know exactly what the main spar is. That's crash landing positions. And the pilot very carefully puts the plane down, but the nose breaks off straight away, and he dies. And that's, I believe, that is the crew that is on the first edition cover of the Nuremburg Raid. I borrowed this from the daughter. And he is one of yours. Flying Officer Jimmy Wilson from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. The final tragedy is, and I'm nearly finished, that of Pilot Officer. He has been damaged somewhere in this area, I don't know. I think he probably bombed Schweinfurt, but he'd been caught and damaged, and there'd been a mix-up of whether we're going to evacuate the aircraft or not. Anyway, his navigator, his bomb aimer and his wireless operator, all the brains of his crew, and if there's any air gunners here, sir, like some gentleman I was talking earlier, please forgive me, who was a tail gunner, they've all gone, and he's struggling to navigate it way back home to England. And he's been obviously flying up the North Sea, and he comes in here and is nearly out of petrol. He's still got 3 men in his crew, and he manages to get the plane down near a coal mine yard. The aircraft breaks up. I think his men were injured, but he was killed, and he's received the VC. That is the Nuremburg Raid, ladies and gentlemen. I've overrun by 10 minutes. Total loss is 108 aircraft, because 14 crashed in bad weather or because they were damaged on the way home. They were crashed in it, you know what I mean. 1 Mosquito was lost, never seen again. 545 aircrew dead, of which 109 are Canadians, 159 prisoners of war. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Well, that was great, Martin. Thank you very much for sharing your stories with us. And if there's anyone has any questions, we've got about 5 minutes. Anything at all that you'd like to ask, and I'll let you speak into the microphone so everyone can hear what the question is.
Mr. Middlebrook, could you just finish the talk and tell us the consequence of the raid in 44? What happened after that raid? Was there any consequence for Harris or for the operations after March 44?
There was no inquest or a conference as to what had happened at any high level. It was just put down as another bad raid for Nuremberg Bomber Command. The answer to your question is no. What has happened is now everything is looking towards D-Day, and Bomber Command, at its last raid, the bomber dream is dead. Normandy has got to take place, and the sacrifices of Bomber Command men have contributed to victory, but they have not succeeded in the victory that the bomber barons, that's another expression, not my expression, have achieved. You're looking at one of the great fellows, you know, over here. Carl, we're talking down each other's microphones here. Before I left England, I'll keep that out of it, because A, it'll embarrass you, and B, somebody might want to ask a question. But just believe me, he's a great guy.
Thanks, Martin. I'll pay you the $5 later. No, that's great. Thank you. And sir, you have a question. I'll bring the mic out to you, and you can ask the question of Martin.
When they mistakenly bombed Schweinfurt, did they hit any vital targets?
They did moderate damage to the town, slight damage to the ball bearing factories. Only 2 people died. In Nuremberg, 70 people died. I think in other parts about another 40 or 50 scattered in the villages and in the town of Lauf. But compared with the number of aircrew who died, it was a very much one-sided affair, the whole thing.
Right, and I did some research, and there were 120 Canadian bombers participated in the Nuremberg Raid, and of the Canadian squadrons that participated, 18 of them were shot down. Remember now, 1 out of every 4 airmen that was on a British airplane in a British squadron was also Royal Canadian Air Force. So we were there, and Anyways, Martin, I'd just like to thank you very much for this. And one thing, my favorite quote is, the only thing new in this world is the history you don't know. And if you want to hang on to your stories and your heritage and your history, blessed are the storytellers. And so, Martin, we'd just like to thank you for saving our history.
Thank you very much. I'm going to let you go in 30 seconds precisely. If the cost of my tour is this much, the cost of profit I make on books is that much. You've all got access to a booking form. I shall be hanging around here for some time with one of my helpers, or you can take them home and post your order to my daughter. Their books will be posted from England as soon as I get there in about 10 days' time. But I have charged no fee for giving this talk. I'm here at my own expense, and I'd be grateful if you would consider buying one or two books from me. Thank you, Carl.
Okay, and one last thing. Martin, the Lancaster crew has asked me to ask you, they want you to ride with them for the next Merlin engine run. Would you consider coming with us now to go out to the Lancaster?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to finish up here and prepare for the engine run. You all have the lists of books that Martin has. I highly recommend ordering some goodies from him. You'll really see some history. And I'll hand it over to Tink now, and let's get ready for the Merlin and Hercules engine run.
In association with the Bomber Command Museum of Canada in Nanton, Alberta, we are rebuilding a World War II Halifax aircraft for Canada. We want to involve more Canadians, and if you'd like to volunteer, or more importantly become a sponsor, this is the time to become part of the Halifax 57 Rescue Canada project. This 4-year national program needs funding to be sure it will be ready for 2017. It is a journey about how aviation shaped our nation. Even if it's a $75 personal contribution from individual Canadians or a major corporate or government sponsor, every donation will be invested in making this educational project a winner. Become a sponsor today and help us turn 25 years of hard work into the most incredible birthday present we could ever give to our country on its 150th birthday. The Halifax 57 Rescue Canada project. For Canada, for Canadians, for our future.